Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled between rolling green hills, lived a curious young boy named Eli and his little sister Miriam. The sun had just begun to peek over the hills, painting the village with golden light. Birds chirped from the trees, and the aroma of fresh bread from the baker's oven filled the air. Eli and Miriam were on a special mission that morning. They carried a basket of freshly baked bread to their grandmother, who lived in the village beyond the hills. As they walked along the dusty road, their laughter echoed between the trees. Miriam skipped ahead, twirling a ribbon she had found in her hair, while Eli carefully balanced the basket on his head. The road was quiet, and the children felt a sense of adventure in the cool morning breeze. Suddenly, Miriam stopped and pointed. "Eli, look," she whispered. Eli squinted. At the side of the road, lying under the shade of a large fig tree, was a man. His clothes were torn and dusty, his face pale, and he barely moved. Eli's heart raced. "Miriam, he looks hurt. We have to help him." Miriam's eyes widened, and she took a cautious step back. "But Eli, what if we make it worse? What if he's dangerous?" Eli shook his head. "We can't just leave him. We have to try." The children carefully approached. The man groaned softly, his eyes barely opening. Eli knelt beside him and gently touched his shoulder. "Sir, are you okay? Can you hear me?" The man coughed and weakly lifted his hand. I'm not. Well, I fell." Eli looked around. The road was long and empty. "We need help," he said softly. Miriam nodded, biting her lip nervously. It wasn't long before the first villager passed by. A wealthy merchant, dressed in fine clothes and riding a sleek horse, slowed slightly when he saw the man. He frowned but quickly pulled the horse's reins. "I can't afford to be late," he muttered to himself and continued down the road. Miriam watched, shocked. "Eli, why didn't he help?" Eli shook his head, sadness in his eyes. "Sometimes people are too busy thinking about themselves, but we can't be like that." Soon after, a priest walked by, carrying a small bundle of scrolls. He stopped and glanced at the man. "Oh my, how terrible," he murmured. But after a moment, he sighed, adjusting his robe. "I have my duties. Someone else will help him," he said, and walked on. Miriam frowned. "Even the priest didn't help?" Eli's voice was quiet but firm. "True kindness isn't about titles or status. It's about what's in your heart." Just as the children began to feel hopeless, a figure appeared in the distance. He was a Samaritan, a man from a village that many people in Eli and Miriam's village did not trust. His clothes were simple, and his eyes were kind. When he saw the injured man, he didn't hesitate. The Samaritan ran over, knelt beside the man, and gently lifted his head. "It's okay, friend. I'll help you," he said. He carefully cleaned the man's wounds with water from a small flask he carried and bandaged them as best as he could. Eli and Miriam watched in awe as the stranger lifted the man onto his donkey, supporting him so he wouldn't fall. The Samaritan led the man to a small inn nearby, where he paid the innkeeper to care for him. He promised to return and cover any additional costs until the man was fully recovered. Miriam whispered to Eli, "He didn't even know him, and yet he helped him. Why would he do that?" Eli smiled softly, "Because that's what it means to be a good neighbor. Kindness doesn't wait for a reward. It doesn't care about differences or distance. It just helps." The children stayed at the inn for a moment, watching the man smile faintly as the Samaritan adjusted his blankets. Then, hand in hand, they continued their journey to their grandmother's house. But their hearts were forever changed by what they had seen. The next day, Eli and Miriam gathered their friends under the big oak tree in the village square. They told the story of the man on the road, the rich merchant, the priest, and the good Samaritan who showed true kindness. They recited the words from the Bible. But a Samaritan, as he journeyed, came to where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion. He went to him and bound up his wounds. The children's friends listened with wide eyes. The story spread through the village, and soon everyone was talking about the lesson it carried. People realized that being a neighbor doesn't mean living nearby. It means caring for anyone in need, no matter who they are or where they come from. Eli and Miriam never forgot the lesson they had learned. They began helping neighbors, friends, and even strangers whenever they could. Small acts of kindness, a warm smile, a helping hand, a basket of bread, became part of their daily lives. And slowly, their village began to feel warmer, safer, and happier. Kindness knows no borders. True help comes from the heart, not from wealth, status, or familiarity. Everyone is our neighbor, and courage paired with compassion can change lives, even in the smallest of ways. And so, Eli and Miriam's hearts grew full, carrying the message that love, generosity, and care could transform the world, one act at a time. If you love this story, don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming tales. Remember, every small act of kindness counts.